I'm glad you continue with me. We are halfway through this course and more interesting and important things are still to be said. But before we do that, let's quickly review the points we have checked so far. First, we talked about motivation. Then we said how important it is to listen, and not only listen, but to do it many times. And that brings us to today's topic, which I have decided to call Context is King. I want you to imagine the next situation. A guy knocks at your door, you open up, and he goes, "They said no." Then he walks away. Do you understand what just happened? No? I thought so. What information would you need to understand it? First, who is this guy? What's his name? Is it a friend? A relative? Do you know him? What was the expression on this guy's face? Was he happy, sad, scared? He said, "They said no." Who are they? They said no to what? What is he talking about? The circumstances that form the setting for an event, a statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood, that's the context. In plain English, it is the information that makes us understand or not what's happening. These things could be linguistic elements such as words or intonation, could be gestures, could be previous or following information. Anything that makes this new information clear. Context is a vital part of communication in any language. Why is it so important? Because context provides meaning to messages. Even in situations where we don't have the complete information, context makes it possible for us to understand. Also, it aids to identify new, unknown, or forgotten words. Particularly in English, context is very important because there are a lot of words that can change their meanings in different contexts. So, knowing the general information surrounding a word or a sentence can help us decide which one is the correct word to use. In the last example, if we were expecting an answer about a house that we are trying to sell, and then this guy appears at your door, now we have a story and not only a sentence, right? But if we were selling the house because we needed the money to bail our father out of prison, that's a completely different story, sadder. We have background information and now we understand. Context also establishes the tone of the language as well as the formal use. You won't talk in the same way to a person you know very well as to a stranger, to your boss or your co-worker, in a funeral or at a party. The context of the situation can give you a clear idea of the words you need to use. Now, to better illustrate the importance of context, I will give you a few examples on how you can use it in different settings. Here's one. Take this phrase. In the light of the current circumstances, we are going to go back to the way we used to do things in the past. This phrase alone has absolutely no context. We can't figure out what is it about. But let's say this is the context. Tim Cook speaking at an Apple keynote. In the light of the current circumstances, we are going to go back to the way we used to do things in the past. That's great news. Back to the basics, Steve Jobs' philosophy and all that, right? But let's say this is the context. Mexico's president talking about freedom of speech issues. In the light of the current circumstances, we are going to go back to the way we used to do things in the past. That's horrible news. See, the phrase is exactly the same, but the context is different, and therefore the message is different. Now let's take a look at an example on how you can use context to determine the meaning of words that you don't know. Take this word, doorknob. Do you know where a doorknob is? Maybe not. It has the word door in it, so maybe we could make an educated guess, but we are not quite sure yet. But now let's check the word within a story. Then Mike noticed that his house was on fire. He tried to escape, but he couldn't open the door because the doorknob was broken. He couldn't open the door because the doorknob was broken. Thanks to the context, we know now that a doorknob is the thing we use to open the door. And now we can picture it in our mind, and now we get it. You see, that is great news for everyone. Well, except, of course, for Mike. Another one. Picture this. I come up to you and you say, "Hi, Alan." I say, "Hi, I think Martin lost them." Wait, what? What are you talking about? What did Martin lose? What's them? I can't tell. Give me some context. But if I say, hi, I can't find my keys anywhere. I think Martin lost them. Ah, now we get it. And all we had to do was checking the previous sentence, the context. One more. There's a group of words in English that sound very similar or exactly the same, but mean different things. For example, the verbs live and live. The verb live in Spanish means irse. The verb live means vivir. If we were at a party having a casual conversation and I ask you as you stand up from the couch, why are you leaving? Of course you understand that my question is about the verb live, only because the question, why are you leaving, is maybe a little bit too existential and out of context. On the principle 3, I told you how listening works in layers. Remember? We said that the more you listen, the more you'll understand. And that is true not only because of the effect of the repetition itself, but because of the context. You may listen to something one day, and there might have been a few things that you didn't understand in that particular context. A couple of days go by and maybe you see those things again, but in a different context, maybe in an article or in a book, and now you understand it. The next time that you listen to the audio again, you will understand more, and things will start to connect to each other. Language is a complete system, and I will talk more about that in the next principle. I hope these examples help you understand the great importance of context in our language acquisition. The title of king is not an exaggeration. This is the main reason why you shouldn't study lists of vocabulary. Words alone don't carry a lot of meaning. Only when we find words in context can we attach them our own personal meaning and make them ours, make them part of our active vocabulary. And what's more, studying, listening to stories will make your entire learning more productive. Individual words are usually forgotten after a short time. Listen to stories. Use stories. Stories are great. That'll be it for the principle number 4, context. I really hope you are finding this information useful and that you want to join me for the next principle. It's gonna be great. Trust me. See you then.